Instagram takes a lot of effort and energy for your business. So if you're going to invest that time or that money in creating all of that content, you want to know if it's actually bringing in results, if it's actually bringing in leads, conversions, whatever you're hoping for it to achieve. I'm Allie, I'm a data-backed marketing strategist, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Google Analytics to find out if Instagram is actually bringing you traffic, leads, and sales. And I'm also going to show you how to use UTMs, which are little tracking snippets, with Instagram so that you get even better data to make decisions on what's working about Instagram, what's not, and how to make it more effective and profitable for your business. And as always, if you want more data-backed marketing tips and resources, make sure that you hit follow so you get notified when my next video goes live. So let's get into it. When you are creating content on Instagram for your business, typically that means that you're trying to get people from Instagram to your website to either become a lead where then you sell them something via email, or you're promoting your products or your services directly and trying to get them to go book with you or buy from you on your site. But the big important piece is we want traffic to go from the Instagram app to your website. That might be via like a mini chat or some sort of automation. It might be links in your stories or them clicking your link in bio or conversations that are happening in the DMs and then you're sending a proposal. No matter what the general situation is and how you get people to your website, you're getting them into your website or your checkouts or your proposal systems. So ultimately, what we need to track and measure here is how many people are coming from Instagram and going to your website to learn more about you, see what you offer, see what you sell, and how many of those people that are coming from Instagram are actually becoming a lead, buying from you, inquiring about what it's like to work with you, and so on. And that data is going to live inside your Google Analytics. So let me show you where to find that. If you've watched my videos before, you probably know that I hate Google Analytics' native reporting platform. I always use Data Studio dashboards like this one instead of going directly into Google Analytics. This is pulling Google Analytics data. So I'm still using Google Analytics, but I visualize my data and I analyze my data in a dashboard instead of in Google Analytics on its own because it's an absolute nightmare to deal with. But I will show you still how to get this answer in Google Analytics, but I'm first going to show you here because it's simpler and easier to wrap our heads around. And then when we go into Google Analytics, it's going to make more sense because you've seen the simple way first. So this dashboard is in the templates that are included in my Data-Backed Entrepreneur program. You can learn more about that program below if you're interested. But what this is looking at all of the traffic that's coming to our site and where they're coming from. And it breaks it down into different channels, which are kind of like the big buckets or categories. And when I'm looking for Instagram traffic, that's going to come through as organic social traffic. So we can see organic social has about 3,000 sessions, drove about 86 leads, and 3 purchases during the time period here of a couple months. If I want to know how many came from Instagram specifically, I can use these drop downs here to filter. So I'm going to look just down to organic social. It's going to update and pull through this organic social traffic. And then I'm going to change this so that I can look at the session source, which is then going to tell me how many of these are from Instagram versus other platforms. And so now we can see how many sessions, leads, and purchases came just from our organic Instagram content during the time period. Now, because I have also used UTMs with my links on Instagram, which I'll talk a little bit about in a second, the other thing that I'm able to see here is I can then filter down to just Instagram and then change my table below to look at a different parameter here that then is telling me, okay, how many of these links came from clicks in the link in bio versus ManyChat versus story links versus a couple other custom things that this business is testing. And we can clearly see here that link in bios are where the majority of these clicks are coming through. But for your business, that might be different. Maybe most of them come from ManyChat, or maybe they come from story links. And you could even know exactly which types of stories, which specific ManyChat sequences, etc., are sending people through. This level of detail, though, is only possible if we're also adding UTMs to all of our links that we're using on Instagram. I'll talk through that a little bit more in a second, but just wanted to give you a little bit of a lay of the land of how that data all comes through here. So when we're able to look at this data, like how much traffic, leads, and sales came from Instagram during a specific time window, then I can test different things and see if this changes and improves the results that I'm getting. So maybe for a month or two, I'm going to test a specific type of content. Maybe I want to start doing a whole bunch of yapping and talking head reels and see how that performs. And then I can look at the metrics during that time period and see, okay, when I'm doing that, I get way more leads. Versus maybe I start sharing a lot more case studies during a different time period and see how that impacts things. And then as you test out different strategies, you're actually able to see the results of what you're doing. Now, if you want to get this data, but you do not have a dashboard like this set up, great. You can still find that in Google Analytics on its own. It's just a little bit more complicated to find. So if you go into your Google Analytics, go into acquisition and traffic acquisition, make sure whatever date period you want to look at, you've selected the right dates. I'm just picking a random date period here. You should be able to see here organic social, just like we had in the other one. It'll still have your sessions. And then instead of the dashboard telling you exactly this is how many leads and this is how many purchases, you can look at the event count here, and right now it's going to default to all events. But then if you have lead events or purchase events set up, you can select that specific event from the list here. So if I filter this down to purchase, I'll be able to see purchases from organic social. But again, if you remember, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's Instagram. It could be organic Facebook, Reddit, Pinterest, something else. What you want to do for that is up at the top here, you're going to want to add a filter. And what I would do is similar to what we did before, where we're going to filter down to organic social. So I'm looking at the session primary channel group. Exactly matches, and select organic social and hit apply. And then I'm going to change this one here to be session source. And then you probably will also need to adjust your rows per page. Just do it to the max so that it pulls everything out. The downside of doing it this way, as you can see, is there's Instagram.com, but there's typically also going to be l.instagram.com. There might be an m.instagram.com. It makes it a little bit more challenging. Google Analytics pulls them in all separately. In my dashboards, I have a rule that says if it has Instagram.com, just call it Instagram. So it's a lot easier to analyze. But you could absolutely come in here, look for all of the ones that include Instagram, or you could layer another filter on here that looks for anything that has Instagram in the source. That would work too. But you can go through and see how many sessions came from each of these and how many purchase events or lead events or whatever important conversion events you have in Google Analytics. But in order for this to work, you need to have Google Analytics set up and you need it to be tracking those important conversions. If you're looking at your data here and you're like, my conversions are clearly not set up or they're not set up correctly, you can check out my course called Tracking Sorted. It is a step-by-step walkthrough of how to set up Google Analytics and Google Tag Manager, which is like an expert level tracking setup, but it's set up in a way for beginners who have never stepped foot in either of those platforms before. I've got plug and play templates, so you say, I use Kit Forms and Thrivecart checkouts, and then it'll pull in all of the stuff for you. You just need to tweak a couple little things so that it sends to your Google Analytics versus the template, and then you'll be ready and good to go. So the link for that is below. Again, it's called Tracking Sorted if your conversions are not coming through properly. And then if you want your Instagram data to also send through, was this from a link in bio or a story link? Or maybe you've started boosting posts or running paid ads and you're noticing that all of this traffic is jumbling in together and you want to make sure that you've separated out your organic from your paid. That's when you need to start using UTMs in your links so that Google Analytics knows where those links came from. I have a whole video linked below that walks through what UTMs are and how to use them if you want the full debrief. But basically, instead of you just putting the link to your website, you're going to add a little snippet of code at the end of each link that tells Google Analytics where it came from. So in this example here, you can see that I clicked on this ad, it sent through this link, and there are some UTM parameters that is going to specifically tell Google Analytics, this is an ad, it was clicked on in Facebook, and it was part of this specific campaign that they want to be able to tie everything back to. So you want to go to the link in your link in bio and add a UTM in it. If you have any active ManyChat automation system you use, you want to add a UTM to that. And then I typically recommend in the Notes app on your phone, keeping UTMs prepped for story links or DM links. So when you're dropping those links in there, you can just quickly copy paste over the UTM so that when you go into your Google Analytics or into your dashboards, you're going to clearly be able to see where those clicks are coming from. Is it for specific types of content? And you can really customize how you use UTMs to better understand the content that you're putting out there. So let me show you two different options you have for creating UTM links. One being Google's UTM builder, which looks like this. The challenge with this one is you need to know what to put in each of these boxes. If you want to use this, you'll probably want to grab my UTM cheat sheet below, which gives you the exact strategy that I use with my clients for organic social content, paid social content, and emails, so you can start using UTMs consistently across them with Google's free builder here. The other option is you can grab my UTMs Made Simple builder, which has the strategy built in, so you don't need to understand what the different parameters are. You would just say, this is an Instagram post, and it's my link in bio, and it's part of my weekly content versus being part of a Black Friday campaign or something. And then it's going to automatically populate your UTM strategy and build your link for you in seconds without you needing to work your way through this builder or try to figure out what goes where. Whether you're spending time or whether you're investing money in your Instagram content, you want to be able to know if that time or that money that you're investing is actually moving the needle for your business. And in order for you to do that, you need to have UTMs and you need your Google Analytics to be up and running. And links to everything that I've talked about are included in the description below. If you're just getting started, check out the UTM cheat sheet. It is a super simple system that works with Google's free UTM builder. Or if you are already investing money in your Instagram or you want to make sure that things are dialed in, UTMs Made Simple is going to get your UTM strategy locked in across Instagram, but also across other areas of your business. And you'll want to make sure that you have your Google Analytics tracking set up as well, and tracking sorted can help you do that.